until 2 o'clock, and we asked you a question. Prime or Payton? Who's been better for their team, for their programs up to this point? We're going to talk about it. Cecil's going to answer. I'm going to answer. And then I also want to talk about our expectation for who will be better moving forward from this point on. Who has a chance to bring the Mile High City a championship with their schools? We'll get to that in a moment. But Cecil, let's start with Sean Payton and the things that he has done. Obviously coming in here after the disaster of, 4 or 5 different Broncos coaches that did not succeed, hurt more than they helped this team. They actually left it worse than it was when they arrived. And
right.
That's hard to do in the scenario that the Broncos were over the last 8-9 seasons. But Sean comes in and gets a 5-win team. They win 8. He's already at 8 here in year number 2. He has found the franchise of quarterback with Bo Nix, and he did it with a 12th overall pick when the rest of the world thought he was foolish. He knew what he was doing. Now, he's also hurting the team financially right now because they are eating $52 million of a salary cap hit with Russell Wilson, and they'll eat another, is it 30 or 32 next year when Russell Wilson still is not playing. But no harm, no foul for me there because, as I just mentioned, he has found one Bo Nix. So Sean Payton has some pretty strong ground to stand on here in this argument or question, Prime or Payton.
Well, and that's why Sean Payton is in the talks for Coach of the Year in the NFL.
Yep.
With everything that he's done with the rookie quarterback, with salary cap problems, with, skill positions around Bo Nix that are not household names yet, being the optimal word. But you have Cortland Sutton, great. You don't really have a ground game. You don't really have proven wide receivers. You do not have proven wide receivers. You don't have a tight end at all. And Sean Payton's getting it done.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton is coaching his way to that sort of talk. Now, it likely goes to Dan Campbell at the end of the day. But we have to praise the culture that he's brought, how he's changed that locker room, how he's changed that feel around this team. Hell, on Tuesday's show, we were talking about, is the Mile High Magic returned? That only returns because of Sean Payton. That only returns because of his work and his effort. Yes, a lot of it is Bo Nix, but he's the guy that said Bo Nix, that went with Bo Nix. Now, not everybody thought it was a silly move. We certainly didn't think it was a silly move because of the fit.
That's right.
Sean Payton has the vision and knowing what he wants. He runs the show. Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, might as well be powered by Common Spirit, powered by Sean Payton. That's what it should be. Have the sponsorship down because make a T-shirt of it, please.
He actually made the request and was denied.
Somebody will make a T-shirt of it, I'm sure, because we're all about selling T-shirts. But,
right.
I believe that Sean Payton's stamp is so large on this Broncos team. It goes beyond just the coaching that he does. And make no mistake about it, he does all the coaching. Like, Joe Lombardi's great. I'm not going to go Office Space like, what would you say you do here? But we all know it's Sean Payton running the show, and it's a great show for the Denver Broncos.
Real fast to take a quick pause on this conversation, but you just said Joe Lombardi's name.
Yeah.
Sean said, was it post-game? I think it was post-game. When he's talking, he said, man, guys like Lombardi and Carmichael, the people that he brought in, his people, right, from New Orleans.
His guys.
And they've had some success together. I actually liked it, and it kind of made me think about what you just said. I'm like, oh, Joe does have a role here. But Sean said, the worst thing you can do is have an idea and be alone. And he said, I have a lot of ideas. And I use guys like Joe Lombardi and Pete Carmichael who can keep me in check. It was actually really nice to hear of Sean Payton admitting of like, yeah, sometimes I say some crazy stuff, but I trust Pete Carmichael and I trust Joe Lombardi, and they can tell me, no, dude, you got a dart in your neck, man. Yeah. Like, that's not a good idea. And Sean listens to
Well, that's what your boys are supposed to do, right? Don't be that guy that doesn't tell your buddy when he's messing up, right? You got to tell him if you're tight enough. And obviously Joe Lombardi's that tight with Sean Payton that he can. And it's a great resource for him to have. But we got to talk about trees. Not those trees, Colorado, but the trees of the coaching tree. Amanda kicks in the door. Stop talking about trees. The coaching tree, like, you need Davis Webb to be a head coach somewhere because he's likely going to be. Joe Lombardi, I don't know if he ever gets that shot. Pete Carmichael, probably not. But, like, you know, the Sean Payton coaching tree, it's Dan Campbell and littering end. Like, you want that. That's how you can tell what you're doing is working because it's spreading to other teams and they're grabbing the resources. Davis Webb will be a head coach somewhere. I believe Vance Joseph will be. VJ's not necessarily Sean's guy, but the point is this. The point is, I think the culture that Sean Payton has established here is the biggest difference because there's a way to win. Yes, it's a Sean Payton way. But if you don't like it, get the hell out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, you make great points about Sean Payton. I unfortunately disagree with you on that. I think it's the other side. I think it's Prime, man. Now, what Sean has done has been outstanding. We're grateful for both. We're having rich people problems here. We're picking the best between the two that have brought both teams back.
It's clearly
to
Payton.
being relevant.
How are you saying this is Prime?
It's Prime, man. It is Prime.
Who does he coach? Who does he coach? Who does he coach?
He coaches Pat Shurmur and Robert Livingston. He coaches Warren Sapp. He coaches Shiloh by yelling at him and embarrassing him on public platforms.
Okay, let's start there. If we're going to say who's best in year two, don't move the goalposts on me, but who's best in year two, it's like, well, it's Sean, because they're going to go to the playoffs. CU's not going to the playoff. Like, the Broncos are going to go to the playoff, and Sean Payton is coaching these guys. Deion Sanders is a great recruiter, but he's not out there with the X's and O's. No. That's not his job. That's Pat Shurmur's job.
He's still the CEO, and he has to coach
Sean's
the coaches
not the CEO?
and manage the coaches. Yeah, actually, you're right. He is.
He's the CEO of everything.
But he's still involved so much in the game planning. To your point, you're right about that.
Yeah.
He is doing more coach-wise. But overall, take the step back, it is Deion is coaching the coaches. None of us thought Pat Shurmur could do what he has done with the Buffaloes.
No.
Deion hired him. Deion gave him the space. Deion allowed the relationship to be established between he and Shador and let that thing flourish and blossom into what it was. Robert Livingston. There wasn't a single team in the world that was going to hire Robert Livingston as a defensive coordinator, college or NFL level, because he was so good at what he was doing as an analyst and helping out with it was linebackers and safeties for most of his career. Prime gave him that opportunity. Look what he's done now. He's up for coordinator of the year in his first year ever being a coordinator. Prime put those guys in positions to succeed and didn't micromanage, didn't get in the way of those relationships flourishing and being established there. And then the other part of this is where the Buffaloes were going. And that was away forever. They were, I mean, how many seasons? A season? Another 1-win season? Another 2-win season? A 1-win season followed by a 2-win season? Whatever you want to look at it, from being completely irrelevant and never mattering again. Not by just us. As we talked about earlier, people up at the university were questioning whether or not they needed football or athletics around up there to continue being a university. What Prime has done now with, you rattled off some of the numbers, 51% application increase from Black and African American students, $10 million a game he brings to the community. So a lot of this isn't the coach thing. Because if you're just going X's and O's, I don't have much of an argument
Sean
with
Payton.
you. It is Sean Payton.
Right.
But I'm bringing everything into it that Prime brings. And Sean has been great. He has brought the Broncos back to a top-tier team in the NFL and certainly can be looking like they're going in that direction. But Deion Sanders saved the life of the Colorado Buffaloes football program.
Let me go Jules from Pulp Fiction and allow me to retort. Because we're talking about culture, right? Deion changed the culture of Colorado football. Mm-hmm. The culture was so broken. Like, the Colorado Buffaloes were going National Signing Day. They're getting a lot of good prospects.
Having a good day.
4 stars, 5-star, 3-star, whatever. Like, but you see what Sean Payton did in changing this culture. He's done that as well, because now with Bo Nix, you know what's going to start happening is there's going to be a magnet right here in Denver, in the Mile High City. You're going to come here to essentially ring chase. You're going to come here not because they can pay you the most, but because you can ring chase now with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Can you really say that? We're talking college football playoff, which was exciting. Were we ever talking national title? The answer is no.
Not this year.
Not this year. And it might be with Juju. It might be. So where are they going in the future?
It'll take a little time.
That's our next part of our conversation. But for this conversation of like who's better now, who's better in year two, it is Sean Payton, because he's doing the X's and O's, because he's making the Denver Broncos a destination. We won't feel the effects until the offseason, but it's happening now because of Bo Nix. Everybody's talking about Bo Nix. Everybody's talking about Sean Payton. They're talking about the Buffaloes as well. But if everything's even and you go, one guy's the X's no guy and one guy's the recruiter guy, give me the guy that's controlling the stuff on the field, because that's where the wins matter. And you are going to the playoffs. 77% chance. I feel very comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. With CU, we talked about it. They were there. They dropped the ball against Kansas.
Yeah, big time. I will say, like I said, X's and O's, I don't have much of an argument for you. I'm encompassing everything that Prime has done. Now, let me ask you this second layer of this question. And you kind of started to hint towards it there with Bo and have an opportunity to get back into the Super Bowl conversation. Prime, Look, it's exciting that what they're doing today and getting all the commitments that they're getting. I can't say they're going to be a favorite for a national championship next year with a freshman, Julian Lewis at quarterback.
Right.
There'll be players in the Big 12 and they'll be in the college football playoff conversation, but I'm not ready to go there yet. So I would ask you, I think I know your answer because you've talked about your timeline before. If the question is who has a better chance to bring a championship to Colorado first, is your answer still Sean Payton?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we're kind of at that point where with Colorado, so many things would have to go in their favor for national title conversation. College football playoff, making a run, being a tough out, that's all within the striking distance of the next few years, easily within the next 2 years for Colorado, in my opinion. With the Broncos, they're Super Bowl contenders next year. Hell, they're almost that this year. I'm not afraid of Buffalo. Bring on the Bills. I'm not afraid of the snow. Bring on everybody. I'm not afraid of you breaking tables. Did you see the one that's a Bills fan pushed a little girl that had beat cancer? Antonio Brown, who may be Kev's favorite player now. Antonio Brown went on Twitter and put out the picture because it was a news story of the Bills fans were all drunk. Hey, drunk football fans, everybody. And they knocked down some little girl. It was her first Bills game. She had just beaten childhood cancer. And AB found her GoFundMe or whatever and fundraiser. So bunch of money's getting poured in now. So that's a great response.
Great,
but bring on those stupid drunk fans. I don't care. But light the tables on fire. It doesn't matter. The Broncos can go anywhere and beat any team. Yes, it wasn't good against Baltimore. Yes, they haven't beat anybody. For that crowd that loves to bring that up, mainly James Maryland. But I have no question that going into a game, you'll have ways that the Broncos can win. Mm-hmm. With the Buffaloes, they're never going to beat Oregon. Not this year. If they were to ever play Oregon, you'd be like, I hope it's not 55-0.
Well, it would be tough right now. But I will also give you some pushback on that because of what the Big 12 is. I think it's perfectly lined up because if Deion is at an SEC school, he doesn't have this opportunity. You just said it. If he's at a Big 10 school, there are some top-tier teams up there that you're not even close to matching talent-wise right now. But the Big 12, I mean, we're talking about the college football playoff, right?
Are we sure the Big 12's good, though? Are we sure about that?
But I'm talking about the path there. And it's exactly what you're saying. We don't know. There's so much unknown. But, Deion's going to reload. He's doing it today. The transfer portal opens, what'd you say, Monday?
Monday.
He's going to dominate in that.
Yes.
They're going to be year in and year out a plug-and-play team of, all right, you're going to go right back into being a top-tier contender in the Big 12. And when you're a top-tier contender in your conference, you have a chance to get to the college football playoff. And just like you're talking about with the Broncos, Robert Livingston's defense is good. You're going to have some good quarterback play. We both believe they're going to be a team that is going to commit to running the football next year while Juju gets his feet underneath him as a quarterback. I mean, you get into the dance because the Big 12 gives you a clear path to do so. The Buffs could be looked at the same light as the Broncos. Wow, that's a team we don't want to play in the first round of the playoffs because they're playing with house money and they got a damn good defense.
And they got a good defense, and Livingston's going to at least put it out the comments that he's going to stay. I did like it on Twitter, so I want to go back and find that.
Move. You know how that works, though. That's a smart move from Robert Livingston.
Right. I totally want to be here. Can you pay me? Can you pay me more? Okay, then let's bring this in the conversation. You're coming back. You're coming out of the corner. Mm-hmm. You got your gloves up, right?
Yeah.
You're striking some blows, but I'm ready to strike back because it's Sean Payton. It's clearly Sean Payton. And I'll bring this up, and this is I'm not going to say it's my kill strike, but this is the knockout blow. Sean ain't going anywhere.
Do you think Prime is?
I don't think so, me personally, but that's the conversation, isn't it? Isn't that all the conversation? Oh, my God. I mean, when I had talked to some NFL people over the last 24 hours about the Giants' interest in Shedeur Sanders, and make no doubt about it, the New York Giants want Shedeur Sanders number one overall. They don't want Drew Lock to play because he might win on some games. Mm-hmm. They don't want to win any games. They want Shedeur Sanders, no question. You know what NFL people told me? One of the first things they said is, well, do they get Deion too? That's still a conversation. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton ain't going anywhere except up to the stage at the Super Bowl to grab the Lombardi trophy and say, this one's for me. That's what Sean Payton's going to do. So you say, who's better? Is it Prime or is it Payton? Who's the best coach in Colorado? Brother, there is no doubt. There is no question. It is Sean Payton. No doubt.
This one's for me line. That's pretty good.
He'd say that.
Can I bet that's what he's going to say? Because I will take that number.
Don't say that. Now Zach's trying to find something on an app somewhere. Zach, invest, baby, invest.
Broncos fans, Buff Nation, let us know. 303 713-1043, ramoslaw.com text line. Look, like I said, we're having a rich people problem conversation because, like Allstate, us football fans in Mile High, we're in good hands, right? Like, Sean's going to do this. Prime is going to do this. They're going to be good for the next couple of years while they're both still here. Sean has his quarterback. Prime's building his roster as we speak, and then we'll still continue to do that coming up on Monday. So it's a situation where I don't necessarily know, like, hey, I can't look at you and be like, you are wrong, Cecil. That's not the right answer. That's your opinion. And you know, that's like your opinion, man.
It's like your opinion. I did find the Livingston audio as well. I'll send it to Kev. We'll see if we can play it. But, like, the other thing that's kind of, as we agree to disagree on this one, that's where we're just going to have to be. We'll be like a Thanksgiving dinner, girl. Like, it's just agree to disagree. Okay? The one thing we can step away from this conversation with, they got two really good head coaches that are cool. Did you see Nick Benito's comments on Pat McAfee's show? Nick Benito was talking about what a dog Sean Payton is and how cool Sean Payton is. Like, the players love Sean. Sean Payton may be old, grumpy guy to a lot of people out there. Hell, he may be that to us directly in the media, right? Sure. Oh, Sean Payton, he's grumpy. You don't know if you're going to get Sean that's expansive Sean and storytelling Sean, or you don't know if you're going to get your eyes rolled at Sean because you asked him a dumb question. You never know with Sean Payton. But to the players, he's always that same guy. He's always that dude. Now, so is Deion, right?
That's right.
So I think one of the formulas here, this is where we can bring Michael Malone in the conversation, but one of the formulas here is not only just having the respect of the players, but your players thinking that you're cool. The players obviously think Deion Sanders is cool because he is.
And that's why they're coming to Boulder.
As wild as it may seem, Nick Benito just said it on Pat McAfee. Man, Sean Payton's cool. And I think that cool factor, it helps in this discussion of how do you get guys to play for you. Plus, here's another. Why did I think? I'm thinking about Call of Duty. I'm thinking about the kill shot. Here's another finishing blow. Which is harder to do?
Or just coaching-wise?
Motivate 18-year-olds to go play some slappy welding school, or to get guys that are grown-ass men and making millions to go out there and play against the best in the world.
I mean, it is the
NFL
is the
much
dictator.
tougher.
Sean is a colleague, as far as the relationship goes.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And
but
Sean
it's
might
a
be a
much
dictator too.
He's a dictator, yeah, for sure. But it's a much tougher job. In the
I agree
NFL.
with you on that.
Much tougher job. So who's the better coach? If it's close, it's still Sean. I don't think it's close. I think it's Sean because of the difficulty, because he's the X and O's guys, because he changed the culture, just like Deion changed the culture. He saved CU. Yay. Sean Payton saved the Broncos. And the Broncos.
But the Broncos weren't as near to dead. Like, the Buffaloes are laying on the canvas and the referee is going 10 or what is it, 8, 9. Like, they're at 9 with the Buffaloes.
Yes.
They were about to be TKO'd forever. The Broncos weren't there. As bad as the 9 years was, it's still 2015 when they won the Super Bowl.
Right.
We got to go back to 2016 and an Alamo Bowl where Phil and the Buffaloes got their butts kicked.
Well, before that, you had more Super Bowl appearances than losing seasons. And then Vance Joseph took over. And it's not on VJ. It's more on John never giving him power. John, way to go screwing over VJ. But he almost had Mike Shanahan. If Joe Ellis allegedly would have signed off on that deal, he had Mike Shanahan and Kirk Cousins ready to come here after 1 year of VJ. Allegedly, or rumors, or whatever I have to say, so I don't get in trouble. Drew, make sure I don't get in trouble. But, like...
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, trust. The trust is in place to make sure that the trust stays in place.
Right.
It was that... I know you're saying 8 years, and it's been 20 years for the Buffaloes, whatever the number is. No, brother. It's dog years. This is NFL. It's dog eat dog. And it is much tougher to do what Sean Payton has done. You saved the Buffaloes. That's awesome. We appreciate that. But you saved the Broncos. Sean Payton saved the Broncos, dude.
I go Prime. He goes Payton. You tell us what you think. 303-713-1043. RamosLaw.com text line. It's a fun conversation because the text lines, they're going back and forth the same way we're going.
Well, then we'll
forth.
have YouTube separate us with the comment section down below. YouTube, hi, how's it going? Like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. I think it's a great conversation, and I think, kind of sports spoiled.
Yeah.
Here, if you will, because we could bring Bedsy into this conversation. We could bring Michael Malone into this conversation. Like, You've got some great coaches. You've got some great leaders of men here in Denver sports.
Let's go to